February 14th is more than a day for romantic love. It's a day bringing awareness to all of the brave people donating the organs to help others. It's National Donor Day. Close to 1,700 Coloradans are currently waiting for a transplant. 97% of them are waiting for a liver or kidney, which can be donated by a living donor. So we're talking to Greg Farber, who serves on the board of the American Transplant Foundation, and he's a living donor. So, Greg, tell us about your story of organ donation.
Well, it was about 17 years ago when my father came to me and told me that he needed a kidney or he had to go on dialysis. Both of his kidneys were failing. At first, I was a little worried about the long-term effects of being an organ donor, but through education and awareness, through speaking to the doctors, speaking to other people that had gone through the process, I realized there were no long-term effects to the donor themselves. And 17 years later, I can tell you, I play tennis 4 days a week. I play flag football. I play basketball, baseball. It hasn't affected my life one bit. So, to tell people that don't have a donor tag on their license plate or are considering being an altruistic donor, there are no long-term effects to the donor themselves, but you can save someone's life.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty impactful situation and thing that you did there. Tell us, what does the American Transplant Foundation do exactly?
Well, we try to, help real people with real grants. So, if somebody is really struggling from the altruistic side, to be a donor, how do we help them? They're worried about losing their job or potentially not being able to, afford their mortgage or bills in the time they're out from becoming a donor. We will help them through grants to pay some of those bills in the near term. And then if you are a recipient, people will go through the same thing. They're out of work, they can't afford to provide for their family, and so we will help them through grants as well. So we try to help real people through our funds. Also, we've started an emergency fund this year, and we've raised over $95,000 just because of the pandemic. There are people that have had to put off their transplants for a significant amount of time just due to the the current environment. So we've distributed quite a bit of money through that fund.
Wow, that was great. I was going to ask you how the pandemic has impacted it. I'm sure it's been huge for you guys.
It has. Obviously, the numbers have gone down in terms of the amount of transplants this year, but we're still way ahead of the pace, from 1997. So it's a good thing. More people are becoming donors. But again, the education, the awareness is the important thing to let people know that, the long-term effects to a donor are completely limited. And you can help save someone's life. Like you said earlier, you have 1,700 people waiting today for a life-saving organ, and those are 1,700 real people with real families, and we can save all those lives if people understand about organ donation.
Yeah, which is so huge, and that kind of leads us to our next point of just why is National Donor Day itself just so important?
Well, again, back to, just the awareness and the education. Every year, February 14th, we should become more aware as a society on, becoming an altruistic donor. In my case, it was my father, so it was an easy decision. But there are real heroes out there that give, kidneys, livers, to people they don't even know. And I think, again, the more educated we become about how many people are doing that, I think the more lives we'll save.
Wonderful. Yeah, very important work you guys are doing. And like you said, it can be overwhelming or intimidating to some people, but it's just such an important thing.
Yeah. And, this year, obviously, with the pandemic, it's changed our approach to raising money. We used to do live events to try to, raise money for the foundation to help people. And so we've had to pivot to do virtual events, and so we came up with an idea to do virtual trivia events where we're bringing a couple hundred people in groups and teams, and they compete, but it's really obviously for a great cause, and we've been able to raise a ton of money towards our emergency fund and towards our other programs. So, and again, through the foundation, we have a mentorship program. So, if somebody's going through a the process of becoming a recipient, they're not alone. We will help them through the whole process. We'll provide a mentor at no charge to them, so that they can feel like they're part of something and they're not alone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all of this just important information, Greg. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time.
Of course. Now, if you'd like to help, we have more information about National Donor Day at cbsdenver.com. We'll be right back.